January 31st, 2019. We know I've had a conversation with a family member when I'm getting this book out again. It's like that. Comes in waves. And this week, there was a big incident, a trigger that I refuse to take full blame for. I'm actually seeing it really differently now that because I'm finding my voice in this process that I've talked about, I am actually gaining the ability to speak up in the moment when I feel something familiar that in the past I have swallowed and silenced and taken in as something that's only my problem. Mostly it's when my feelings are hurt, when I'm disrespected, and it's not about respect like, hi, I'm like so like above you. It's just like being acknowledged as a person and not a pawn on a chessboard that can be just moved around. And this is the behavior, I'm exploring because I wrote this huge rant, a series of rants. It wasn't just one. It was like every day I wrote a little bit of a rant, and then I read the whole thing as one, and I was looking at these interconnections. And I do have this thing about wealth, people with money, people that look for positions of power because they need to be in positions of power for reasons they don't even know themselves. And I've been around those. I'm not commenting like as a total outsider to that. I was in that life, that mindset, that world, those worlds. Harvard University, the world of medical school and medical doctors, the world of venture capitalists, the world of CEO parents in Palo Alto and venture capitalists and their children. And so these were all the worlds that I've observed power dynamics in and I've been participant in. And then I had this before and after point in my life where I got to like be thrown into a totally different worldview and get to see it as what it is, and be in it rather than being able to judge it and condemn it like I could when I was on the outside of it. I experience it. And so I've been in these worlds. And as Charlie said on Tuesday, I've earned the right to say what I'm saying about them because it's my experience. And for too long in my life, I have negated my own experience because I've been just, anytime I try to go into a description or sharing of my experience, I'm greeted with one of two things. One is eyes glazed over, dissociation, out of the room, not listening, not worth my time because I'm not going to get any feedback. This is from family, and then of course the people that I surround myself with. That's what I'm attracted to because like my brain, my neurological system believes that that's how people who love me respond, by going into their own world. The other response that I learned was love was if I share my experience and I'm in my experience, I'm going to get like annihilated. So shot down with really brutal criticism that goes to the heart of who I am and makes me think that I'm less than a human being and not worthy of being on this planet. And whoever's talking to me is the one with all of the knowledge, experience, and superiority in the world. So when that's the environment that your brain is trained in as love, and there's words for this now in in neurobiology, like attachment, they call it attachment. I don't like any of the words, and it's probably because of the childhood that I had. The entire environment was just so toxic that, but I drank it in as love, and so I keep looking for that. I keep measuring the world, and when it doesn't match that, I'm like, what's wrong with you people? But I really know, like, there's a part of me now that's learning in my body that There's something very right about being able to relax and being able to allow people to have their own experience and to enjoy humanness. And this reminds me of a moment today. I was doing my shopping. I still am like loving this shopping thing because it's just so fun to turn on this app and like make a little bit of money and um, not have to think at all. But actually have fun, like, and take pride in doing a really good job at finding these items for people and making sure it's exactly what they want. And if not, then just talking about it. So I'm in line, and the checker at Target is this older, like he's maybe in his 70s or 80s, Indian man named Ram. And he's just like very deliberate in his movements and not nervous and not hurrying, not overly confident, but no doubt. It was sort of like the Brima, no hurry, no pause. Brima, look that up, Brima.com. 9 Principles of Harmony, the art of being present. One of the principles is no hurry, no pause. And he just totally embodied that for me. And I'm like, this dude is like, I don't know why he's working here, but it doesn't matter. And it's like there's a dignity. There was just a dignity in the way that he was, in his body and in all of his movements. And I felt that. And I know that when I go into work mode, even in this job, this little shopping job, I kind of get like super driven and I want to be like really fast and do it perfectly. And I know that I'm 100 times better than I was 10 years ago. But, and, luckily there's like not that much I can achieve in the job. But he was just a good reminder that no matter where I'm showing up, it wasn't about me. He was a good reminder to me of just appreciating the dignity in every human being. And I felt this pang of sadness for all of the times that I have not appreciated certain human beings because of how I judged them to be a certain way, just because of my judgments. And we all have judgments. I really don't believe anymore that we're not going to judge, like all of a sudden we're going to become non-judgmental. We can really notice and feel the effect of when we're judging. And slowly, gradually choose how we're going to use our judgment. And I don't believe that it's about eradicating judgment at all. But it's seeing when it's really there. Because what happens when I talk to my family is there's too much blindness. There's like blindness to others, blindness to self, and like there's no door, there's no crack in the door to actually have any kind of discussion. And I know this now because I used to think I was crazy when I would think this and like feel this, because it was never validated. It was always like, no, you're making that up. You're way off base. You're totally like wrong about that. That's not what's happening. Which we now have a word for, gaslighting. But when I would have an experience and I was called too sensitive, like, so it was my fault. Like, you're too sensitive. Go fix yourself. You're taking it the wrong way. Go fix yourself. I didn't mean it that way. Go fix yourself. Those were the responses. So now that I've been off on my own and in my world for long enough, and, I would say it's 10 years of concerted effort, but, on top of many more before that, but 10 years of like conscious effort to not view that world of my childhood to be valid. And you know how hard that is for a human who's wired from birth in a certain environment. But it's possible. I don't believe that people don't change. I believe change happens very, very small, consistent steps over time that just when the idea is there that it's going to happen, when the decision is made, it does happen. The question is, what's most important to you. So if your status in the world is still the most important thing, then no, you're not going to change, because you can't, because you'd have to give up all those things. You'd have to give up all those, the status that you're holding so precious, in order to really change. So, in the past, when I've thought, oh my God, like, I'm being railroaded here, like nobody's hearing me, I would be made to feel crazy. And then, so now that I've been on my own, here I got my train of thought back. Now that I've been back on my own, like, and forming my own experiences that give me my own chance to have a perspective on the world, I realize that I've always had a perspective on the world, but I was never given an invitation to share it. So I didn't seek out the places in the world that were. And now it's amazing. So here's the application that you could call law of attraction. I don't anymore, but I call it, waking up and growing up. Because now that I've experienced validation of my deepest, hidden, most shameful parts of myself, which all basically have to do with anger. And I haven't gone to the hurt and the grief yet, because there's so much anger that needs to come out first. I get like little flashes of the grief, but the grief is immobilizing and anger is mobilizing. Anger has tempo and fire energy, and grief is just very still like parched earth for me. So now that I've experienced a little bit of this validation, I see that I start imagining, like, so all of these worlds have opened up to me, right, over the last year, like 14 months. So November of 2017 is when I sort of started to explore, what do expressive arts therapists study when they go to get a master's degree and get an MFT in California. And I started looking at the syllabus and at different schools, and of course, fell back in love with CIIS here in San Francisco. And then that led me to the psychodrama and drama therapy terms and interpersonal neurobiology, which I just never really delved into, took the time to understand. And I started to just become curious and open to it. And it opened these doors one by one, just little tiny breadcrumbs to follow. And it led to my ATP performance, my autobiographical therapeutic performance in October, which was like the world of theater opening to me. And not necessarily being an actor, but actually being the opposite of an actor on stage in a performance, creating. So I'm really excited about developing my own view of what can happen on a stage. And I want to incorporate all of the things that I've experienced with audience participation, kind of blurring the line between performer and audience, but also taking full advantage of this very, very sacred, unique space of the theater where you have all of these collective witnesses and these actors who are on the stage creating, who are the first impulse. But I want to explore that space. And so I think I was looking for just an image for a Facebook event yesterday for solo performance, and I stumbled upon this woman, Kelly Quinn, whose work is like, oh my God. First of all, I looked at where she had studied, and one of the places was in Northern California called Del Arte. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I kept looking through her stuff and then realized she got her MFA there, among many, many other places around the world that she studied various forms of theater that I've never heard the names of. There's various schools of physical theater and things that are totally new to me, but I'm like fascinated. But also noticing like I'm looking back at my own trainings and saying, like, what from that can I draw from? Because I've been very compartmentalized in thinking, like, I'm studying healing modality now, I'm studying body work now, I'm doing sound now, I'm doing voice now, I'm doing music now, I'm doing coaching now. And I've always had this longing to be able to have the language to express the connection of it all to nature and to visual art and mindfulness and yoga and Thai massage and acro yoga, which is how I got into all the Thai massage. And words and voice and music and instrumental music and song and story and illustration. And so she basically, her work covers all of that. Her solo show, she's playing violin, she's talking about her mother, she's doing clowning, very physical clowning stuff, she's speaking, she's singing words, she's using a loop station to create music on stage, and she's a facilitator, mentor, art and community-based art installations, just really, really amazing holistic interdisciplinary practice. But the piece I went to follow was the Del Arte, and just looking at, like, wow, this place up in Northern California that's like up near Eureka, in this tiny little place in the mountains, where apparently in the 70s a couple of theater people from Berkeley went up there just to create a nature-based place where actors and theater creators could train in a focused way using nature, the power of nature to inspire movement and energies in the bodies, and the combination of disciplines that they have there is like, wow, I want that. And there's many different options. I'm looking at the 3-week summer because I'm looking at experiences to give myself this year that are about building on this, what I've been doing, and creating my own program of study, really, including considering MFA, the MFA Interdisciplinary Arts Performance Creation at Goddard College is another one that I was thinking about. But I really feel like what I'm getting from the Marsh is I thrive on that live interaction. The online thing is supplementary, but it's not, like, right now it's really not what I'm hungry for, and is not feeding me. I need the live interaction. And so this, like, the extreme physicality of this theater thing feels like really exciting and very, very foreign to me, and also like could really inspire something I don't even know yet that's in me. I've had many people ask me already, like several theater directors ask me if I'm a dancer. And I never say no, because I dance, I move, but I don't say, it's like when people ask me, are you a singer? I always say, I can improvise with my voice the way I do it. I don't know if you would call it singing, because there's, to me, so many different labels and definitions of that. But I have become, through the gift of my path, open to being prompted to, I have explored my voice in ways that give me the knowledge that that's in me. I'm free to do it. It's not my spontaneous mode of expression. It's a practice I do to free myself to start expressing. And then same with dance and movement. I use movement to free my mind to do what I'm calling writing. But this idea of the physical body as theater, which was first introduced to me really by Dan Hoyle just this last December, of like finding a story through the movement of your body, was like, whoa. Because, Tamalpa is about moving the body, but not necessarily going to the point of saying its story, and becoming that concrete about it and saying, what is this person's, motivations and desires? It's more kind of listening for a message from the universe. So it's just a different way of engaging the imagination in the body. And there's something about story that's really exciting for me because I think I just have a lot of stories in me that I have dismissed because I dismissed my own voice, dismissed my own experience, dismissed my own perspective, and it's coming back now. But I still am, I know I have a lot that needs to just spew out and be thrown off of me through my voice, through my body, and so thankful that this little experience is happening. And now I'm already looking ahead like, okay, great. Beginning of March, I have my class performance. April, I have 2 performances at the March. So I have those markers in front of me, but I'm already looking beyond that. Okay, what am I creating for myself after that to continue on this path of opening to more and claiming more and giving my stories a way to come into the world in an engaging way for me as a creator. So this has been a great practice for me, these videos of hearing my voice every day. It's almost like a warm-up for me to like connect with what's happening in me because so much of it I'm pushing it away. And I am going to be reading about myself in this book tonight as a way to really process what's going on in my family. And I highly recommend both of these books. I've mentioned these before. The Tao of Feeling and this one by Pete Walker, who is a therapist, but most importantly, he's somebody who's gone through his own journey of looking at himself as the survivor of unconsciously abusive parents and emotionally abusive people in his life, his parents. Whether it was conscious or not, doesn't matter. What we're talking about is the here and now of what are you experiencing, like what's happening for you in your life, okay? And so both of these are really helpful. I keep them around, always thinking like, maybe I'll never have to look at those again. And then I talk to my family. And then I have to open up this book again. That's right. So, and it's good because even if they weren't here, I know, it woke me up to the fact that like, wow, I'm probably treating people this way. I mean, if I was treated this way so systematically for, decades of my life, for sure I am treating other people that way. And I would prefer to minimize the number of people whose souls I crush in my lifetime. Well, don't we all? Well, no, actually, there's some people who don't mind crushing some souls as a means to an end. Which reminds me, I didn't finish my thought on the wealth power discussion. There's a whole rant that I'm noticing that I got into with my most recent writing that I want to follow up on. And it's that the manipulation of others, as long as it achieves their purpose of getting to their position of power, I've just looked at that and said, why is it some people can do that? In the 3 places that I had power over others, that would be medicine, becoming Dr. Chu, as a venture capitalist, because I had the money, my phone rang because I had money. Not me personally, but the firm I worked for was a checkbook. So your phone rings when you've got the money. You're not selling stuff to people. People are trying to get you to write them a check. And 3, when I was in my school as Dr. Chu, everything she says is what we do. Those were my 3 places of power over others. I eventually said, no, I can't do this anymore. So what is it about me that I wasn't able to do that? So up until now, and still today, I look at myself and say, wow, I didn't have what it takes. I'm weak. I'm less than these people who can, um, work in these positions of power and gain power over other people. I really do. There's a silent place inside me that's taken that to be true. And so I put myself lower than these people who have achieved that kind of status. I don't even call it success because it's just something. It's a status. It's a position. Because now I have lived enough into this path of saying like, whoa, I am discovering so many different qualities in the world and in my life that I can't call it a failure. I can't call myself weak anymore. I can't do that honestly because there's too much richness in what I'm experiencing. Finally, that was not just like one day I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore because I'm going to choose this beautiful path. It was like, I can't do this anymore, and I feel like a failure for several decades. So this is a huge process that I am only now beginning to honor and to see how deeply ingrained it was in me to believe that anything other than having power over others and control over others is weak and subhuman. And guess where that comes from? I believe, along with Alice Miller and other theorists who study abusers, that when you have been abused and have not acknowledged that, so this is also pedagogy of the oppressed, like when you've been oppressed and you don't know it, you become the oppressor the first chance you get. Because you didn't see yourself as being oppressed, so the oppressor's like, yeah, I want to be like him. He's like really, he's got it together. He's got what I want. God, if only I could be like that. Then the first chance you get, you're going to go there, and then you're going to make sure that you surround yourself with oppressed people. Because that's the world you know. That's how it's organized in your neurological system. That's normal. And if anyone tries to rise up and question you, you better smash them down right away because they're out of place. They're trying to oppress, become me, become the oppressor. They can't do that. They have to stay down in their place. So this is why I'm passionate about exposing abuse, where it starts, which is in the family unit. And it's also the most difficult place to expose it because it's the most unconscious within the family unit. It's the most justified, socially acceptable, and private realm that every single person who has the biological capability or adoptive capability to gain control of a helpless person, which is a child, is free to abuse them emotionally with zero consequences because it cannot be documented. And there's nothing in the system that rewards the exposure of that when the child is still a child, because where are they going to go? I mean, we got to take care of the people that are physically abused first, because that's like a physical life in danger. We can't save souls on a systemic level, because what are the resources for that? And what happens is those who wish to recover their souls find their way into art making and creative expression to move that from the body into the world if they're lucky enough to find that outlet. The rest of them, well, just look around you. They're the people in your neighborhood, in your workplace, and this is the human condition. And it's not depressing. It's truth, and it's cleansing, and it grows our compassion for every single person. And compassion does not mean we're intimately involved with and exposing ourselves to every single human being, including abusive people. No. Compassion is understanding why they are the way they are and owning the fact that it has an effect on you, like triggering or whatever, and absolutely not taking that as acceptable once you see that it's not acceptable. Yeah, I'm getting my voice, people. And it's not just fun, it's totally necessary. It's a life and death issue for me. I believe that. In my physical body, if I had not found this path, and if I don't continue on this path, my body will find a way to turn this into disease. So that's something that I will never be able to prove scientifically, but I know it. I absolutely 100% know it. And that's why I'm so passionately pursuing it privately. That's my own personal knowing and crusade for myself. It's for my health, and it's for, if I want to live, this is what I do. If I'm ready to get busy dying, then I can just stay back and not say anything. So that's it.